There's a story in Hollywood, and it's a dark one. The Poltergeist films are often called some of the most cursed productions ever made. But what if I told you the string of tragic deaths that followed the cast wasn't just a coincidence? The story goes that the truth is far more sinister and is tied to a single decision made on set that may have unleashed a real-world horror on everyone involved. For many, the so-called curse is real, and the proof lies with the actual skeletons used in the film's most iconic scene.
Oh, well, we'll have to look into that. The rest of the block dark, too?
No, it's just us.
Got some electrical problems as well.
What happened to the cast and crew of Poltergeist wasn't just bad luck. It felt like a pattern, a terrifying sequence of events that started almost as soon as the camera stopped rolling, suggesting that the horror they created on screen had followed them home. When Poltergeist hit theaters on June 4, 1982, it was an immediate phenomenon. Produced by Steven Spielberg and directed by Tobe Hooper, it completely redefined the haunted house movie for a generation. The film's genius was bringing terror into the one place everyone felt safe: the suburbs. It wasn't some remote Gothic castle, it was a brand new planned community, which suggested that a haunting could happen to anyone, anywhere. The story of the Freeling family, tormented by spirits who pulled their youngest daughter, Carol Ann, through a television set, became a cultural touchstone. The film was a massive success, but behind the scenes of this triumph, something else was taking shape. A story of tragedy so persistent and so strange that it would become one of Hollywood's most enduring and disturbing legends: the Poltergeist curse.
Hey! It's not my mess. Thanks a lot, Jerko. I've got class in 20 minutes.
The first terrible event struck just months after the film's release. Dominique Dunne, the 22-year-old actress who played the teenage daughter, Dana, was a rising star with a truly promising career. That career was cut short on the night of October 30th, 1982. Dunne was at her West Hollywood home rehearsing for a new role when her abusive ex-boyfriend, John Sweeney, appeared. She had recently ended their volatile relationship. After an argument on her driveway, Sweeney attacked her, strangling her into a coma. She never woke up. 5 days later, on November 4th, Dominique Dunne was taken off life support. The sheer brutality of it, happening so close to the success of a film about a family being torn apart, was shocking. In a truly chilling injustice, her killer was convicted not of murder, but of voluntary manslaughter. He was sentenced to 6.5 years and was released after serving only 3 years and 7 months. Dunne's death was the first and perhaps most violent chapter in what would become known as the Poltergeist curse, marking the moment the on-screen horror seemed to bleed into reality. If Dominique Dunne's death had been an isolated incident, it might have been dismissed as just a horrific but separate tragedy, but it wasn't. As the franchise continued with its sequels, a disturbing pattern started to emerge. 2 other key actors from Poltergeist 2: The Other Side would also meet untimely ends. Julian Beck, who gave a bone-chilling performance as the evil preacher, Reverend Kane, was fighting stomach cancer during the production. His gaunt, skeletal look, which made his character so terrifying on screen, was a direct result of his illness. He passed away in September 1985, at the age of 60, before the sequel was even released.
Well, why don't you come with me? All right. I'll sing you a song till your mom comes back. God is here.
Then there was Will Sampson, who played the heroic shaman, Taylor. Sampson, a member of the Muskogee Creek Nation, reportedly grew so uneasy on set that he performed a cleansing ceremony one night after shooting rap to clear the air. Just a year after the film's release, in June 1987, Sampson died from complications related to scleroderma, a chronic illness following a heart-lung transplant.
Okay, hands off. It's worse than it was before. Car's still angry, huh? Angry? That car is pissed.
While both men had been ill, their deaths added to a growing sense of dread around the franchise. 2 films, 3 prominent actors gone. The whispers of a curse were growing louder. But the tragedy that truly cemented this legend in the public consciousness, the one that feels the most heartbreaking and inexplicable, was the death of the franchise's innocent star, Heather O'Rourke. As Carol Ann Freeling, the angelic, blonde-haired girl who told the world, "They're here," O'Rourke was the absolute face of Poltergeist. She was the heart of all three films, the central figure the horror always swirled around. In early 1987, she became sick and was misdiagnosed by doctors with Crohn's disease. During the filming of Poltergeist 3, she was on medication that caused noticeable puffiness in her face. Then, on February 1st, 1988, just a few months after production ended, O'Rourke suddenly collapsed at home. She was rushed to the hospital, where she went into cardiac arrest. It was only during emergency surgery that doctors discovered she had a congenital bowel obstruction that had been there her entire life. Completely missed. The blockage had caused a fatal infection. Heather O'Rourke died on the operating table. She was only 12 years old. The death of a child is always a profound tragedy, but the sudden, shocking death of the series' vibrant young star.
Do you see them?
From a condition that went undetected for her entire life, felt incomprehensibly cruel. It seemed to defy logic and fed the horrifying narrative that some malevolent force tied directly to the films was claiming those involved. Poltergeist 3 was released after her death, a somber, eerie final chapter to her short life, and the undeniable centerpiece of the curse legend. The sheer volume of tragedy connected to one film franchise is staggering. It forces you to ask if there's more to this story than simple coincidence. And this is where things get really strange. For years, the tragedies were just a collection of horrifying events. But then, a potential cause came to light, and it was more shocking than any urban legend. Many believe the source of the curse wasn't fiction, it was a real-world act of desecration. In the film's first terrifying climax, the mother, Diane Freeling, played by JoBeth Williams, falls into a muddy, rain-soaked swimming pool pit. As she thrashes around, skeletons start erupting from the mud all around her. For the audience, it was a masterful horror sequence. For the actress, it was deeply unsettling. But she assumed she was surrounded by plastic props. She was wrong. Years later, it was confirmed by the crew the skeletons used in that scene were real human skeletons. In the early 1980s, it was shockingly cheaper to purchase authentic medical skeletons from biological supply companies than it was to create realistic fakes from scratch. So, for days, JoBeth Williams had been swimming in a muddy pit, screaming in terror, surrounded by actual human remains. The irony here is chilling. The entire plot of the movie is that the Freelings' house is haunted because developers built it on a cemetery, but only moved the headstones, not the bodies. By using real skeletons to cut costs, the production didn't just imitate the film's narrative of disrespecting the dead, they actually did it. This single, disturbing decision is what many point to as the moment the fictional horror of Poltergeist bled into reality, fueling the legend of a real-life curse. Beyond the tragic deaths, the set of the first Poltergeist was reportedly plagued by other strange and dangerous events. These weren't just rumors, they came from the cast and crew themselves. The most famous incident involved that terrifying clown doll. During the scene where the clown attacks young Robbie in his bedroom, the mechanical prop malfunctioned. The doll's arms wrapped around the neck of child actor Oliver Robbins and began to tighten. For real. Robbins started yelling, "I can't breathe." But for a terrifying moment, the crew, including Spielberg, thought he was just ad-libbing brilliantly. It wasn't until they saw the boy's face actually start to change color that they realized he was in real danger and rushed in to pull the doll off him. Decades later, in 2009, another actor from the film, Lou Perryman, who had a minor role as a construction worker named Pugsley, was tragically murdered in his own home. For believers in the curse, this was just another name on a long list, though many others feel the connection is a stretch given how much time had passed. Still, the accumulation of on-set danger and off-set tragedy creates a pattern that's difficult to ignore. So, what's the legacy of Poltergeist? It's a masterclass in horror, for sure, but it's also a chilling case study in Hollywood lore. You have a string of 4 shocking and untimely deaths connected to the original trilogy, including a brutal murder and the heartbreaking loss of a child star. You have a documented near-death experience on set with a malfunctioning prop, and at the center of it all, you have the undisputed, deeply unsettling fact that the production used real human skeletons, disrespecting the dead for the sake of a movie. Coincidence? Some, including actor Oliver Robbins, believe so, arguing that these were all separate tragic events. But for many others, the connections are too direct, too numerous, and just too bizarre to be explained away. The story of the Poltergeist curse endures because it speaks to a primal fear that if you disrespect the dead, they won't rest peacefully. Was it a string of unbelievable coincidences? Or did the production of Poltergeist truly disturb something they shouldn't have? You be the judge. So, what do you think? I really want to hear your theories in the comments below. Do you believe in the Poltergeist curse? As always, don't forget to subscribe and hit that notification bell for more explorations into the dark side of Hollywood. Thanks for watching.